Moynat is one of the leading houses of trunks and leather goods. Moynat is a house with very deep roots. Born at a time of significant societal revolution and changes around living and travelling in Paris, France, and Europe. Welcome to Creme De Luxury, the place for an exceptional luxury lifestyle. Founded at a time when France and the rest of Europe had done away with horse and carriage at the turn of the 19th century, at this time, travel and tourism abroad took many weeks and eventually just a few days in trains and cars. These excursions required several changes of clothes packed neatly into wardrobe trunks. It was this revolution that spawned the concept of bespoke luggage trunks and travel objects, exuding the spirit of French adventure, which high society prided themselves on. The invention of bespoke travel trunks redefined the art and beauty of travelling and the design of travel accessories used on such trips. Not only did the revolution of the automobile revolutionize this period, but also the independence of the Belle Époque Paris. It was an era of unprecedented refinement and good taste, reserved for the rich and privileged. This formed the foundation of the House of Moynat, resulting in new product innovations at Moynat that catered to this growing market. Moynat, however, is also a brand new entity because of the rupture in its history from the 1970s to 2011. Moynat has been making trunks in Paris since 1849 and have prided themselves on their premium craftsmanship and unique designs, whilst choosing to be a quiet and subtle brand remaining under the radar. Moynat was not just another leather goods and luggage maker, but an innovator and even pioneering at times. Moynat was also revolutionary as one of the first French luxury fashion houses founded by a woman as part of a partnership between Pauline Moynat and the Colombier family. Pauline arrived in Paris at the tender age of 16 from Savoy and made her living selling travel goods at the city's operatic district. Pauline was the only woman trunk maker in a male-dominated industry, and she truly brought a feminine flair to the male-dominated universe of trunk making in an extraordinary, enterprising, and unique way. In addition, Moynat were innovators in catering to the travel bag needs of women too. Pauline Moynat was a visionary, providing top-of-the-line trunks and travel accessories to high society. Parisians in the 19th century acclaimed for her craftsmanship and designs. At a time when luggage making was a rather dull industry, Pauline's trunks were exciting, liqueured, and tanned with alluring colours. Pauline also used vibrant skins to transform what would be a mundane and standard trunk-making craftsmanship. Octavie and François Colombier were trunk makers from the faubourgs, the inner suburbs to the north, and after coming together in 1849, they opened the first Moynat ateliers, and then the first store in 1869 on what was then Place du Théâtre Français, now called Place André Malraux, with Moynat soon becoming their official supplier. The boutique was located at the heart of Haussmann's redesigned Paris and followed the construction of the Avenue de l'Opéra in 1876. It was positioned at Primary Place at number 1. The headquarter is now the oldest shop on the avenue. House Moynat was more or less an institution and stayed operational for well over 100 years, until it ceased production in 1976. Moynat was well known for its traditional craftsmanship and skills in making made-to-order luggage and travel goods, in addition to their designs, pieces, and technical innovations for automobiles, which included making its trunks lighter and waterproof. The first generation of cars didn't have boots or storage space. Instead, this was provided by sometimes numerous trunks stacked bulkily on rear seats or hung haphazardly off the sides of the vehicle. This is where Moynat understood they could do things differently, and not only did they utilize and maximize storage space, Moynat did so in such an elegant fashion. Moynat specialized in custom-made trunks designed to match the interior or exterior as well as the contour of any vehicle. The house's ability to address the needs of its clientele made it the trunk maker of choice for many manufacturers. From carriers for spare wheels to sliding compartments along the sides, new designs followed as more customers desired and dreamed of being on the road. The first Moynat case was a masterpiece, its long-reaching aerodynamic curves illustrating the Moynat finesse and making Moynat pieces of luggage an object of intense desire. Moynat patented its first inventions from packaging materials in 1854 and became the first trunk maker to use the vegetal gum sourced from Indonesia called gutta percha to waterproof its trunks and packing boxes. Showing their aptitude for technical innovation, Moynat went from strength to strength. In the 1870s, Moynat debuted the wicker trunk, also known as the English trunk, or Moynat trunk, a trunk crafted with a lightweight structure consisting of a wicker frame covered with a varnished canvas and leather trimming for travel between France and England. The trunk was studded every 7 mm instead of the industry standard 16 mm, which gave the trunk a lightweight but sturdy structure. It was very popular with travellers wishing to circumvent weight restrictions placed on railway travel. Moynat also produced a number of security mechanisms for its trunks and patented latch bolt locks. These features ensured added security and strength to their trunks. Another famous example of Moynat's technical innovation was in 1902 when they introduced their trademark limousine trunk with an arched bottom tenderly made by hand with a wooden frame. It featured a curved bottom edge and a flat top strengthened by metal bands and was completed with a varnished canvas. It fit snugly on the curved roof of the automobiles and rapidly became a customer favorite. The aptitude to use no less than 1,000 individual nails spaced 10 mm apart instead of the industry's traditional 16 mm is another example of the innovative prowess that Moynat exuded for over a century. Innovations like this greatly contributed to Moynat's popularity and reputation among the automotive industry, and Moynat continued making custom trunks and luggage throughout the 19th and well into the 20th century. Moynat were also frequent participants in the World's Fairs since 1867, and Moynat took part in the Exposition Universelle in Paris in the 1900s and in Brussels in 1910, where they were awarded medals and special prizes at Ghent in 1913. It was not until the 1925 International Exhibition of Modern Decorative and Industrial Art Deco exhibition in Paris that Moynat became par excellence and was distinguished as one, if not the leader of their field, winning a number of gold, silver and bronze medals, and was formally recognized for its avant-garde innovation and exceptional creativity. Moynat was also awarded the Diplôme d'Honneur for its red Moroccan automobile trunk, a distinctive leather patchwork trunk decorated by blue palm leaves outlined in studs, which had since become one of the signature codes of the house. Moynat was also most definitely a pioneer in the development of ladies' handbags and were one of the first to introduce a range of women travel handbags in the early days of the railway. In 1878, they debuted the Mignon bag, made in chamois leather, followed up by a popular shoe bag. Pauline Moynat was highly respected amongst the elite of the Parisian performing scene, and it was during the Belle Epoque era that Pauline Moynat struck up a friendship and found a confidant in spirit, heart and mind in renowned actress Gabrielle Réjean. Réjean was a rising star and a muse to many designer houses, a woman of character known for her wit and humour that charmed the world, making her successful not only in Paris but also on the stages of London and New York in the early 20th century. Gabrielle Réjean was the epitome of the Parisian natural beauty and embodiment of independence. Gabrielle later became the inspiration for several custom creations from Moynat, including some of their pioneering handbags, all which imbued the Parisian spirit and attributed to the commercial success of Moynat, cementing the house's status in the arts world. Gabrielle inspired one of her first handbags for women, created by the Moynat Maison. In 1903, the Réjean bag was made in her honour. It was also the first bag to pay homage to a celebrity that is still available today. Gabrielle was a devoted admirer of the house Moynat, and legend that she was, it was believed she travelled with a trunk covered in purple crocodile skin, so her luggage showed off her personal effervescent flair wherever she travelled. 1905 launched another significant chapter in Moynat's history, with an ongoing partnership and eventual friendship with Art Deco artist Henri Rapin, when he was appointed as the long-serving creative director. Henri can be credited with the success of Moynat from 1905 to 1930. Henri's artistic legacy was truly sealed with the monogram he designed for Moynat, known as the Toile in 1920, which rapidly became Moynat's distinctive signature and signifying house code. The motif was created by alternating lines of the letter M. The motif was originally introduced to protect the house from counterfeits and forgeries, which was common practice for luggage and trunk makers at the time. Henri Rapin also oversaw the compilation of Moynat's product catalogues and the model trunks that were presented at the Universal and International exhibitions. Henri Rapin's other graphic creations for Moynat included themes of travel, poetry, and sometimes comical elements. This all culminated in their wins at the 1925 International Exhibition of Modern Decorative and Industrial Art Deco exhibition, which propelled them to international recognition. Moynat continued to thrive for decades after Pauline Moynat's passing. The collaboration between Pauline Moynat and the Colombier family started with François and continued with his sons Jules, Ferdinand, Edmond, Louis, and Maurice, and excelled under the direction of the Colombier grandsons as they used their entrepreneurial spirit to take advantage of the increasing train speed and the rise of automobiles, which inevitably increased the number of travelers and consumers requiring trunks. During its history, Moynat filed numerous patents, covering everything from lightweight luggage to waterproofing, and it has designed trunks for every mode of transport, from limousines to train. But faced with the challenges of production, a rapidly changing automobile industry, and the development of new materials like nylon and plastic, the acclaimed and esteemed luxury trunks and luggage maker ceased production and manufacturing and went into hibernation, closing its boutique at the Place du Français in 1976. Despite these unfortunate events, Moynat trunks were still widely used for travel by the elites and crossed the Atlantic to all corners of the world. Fortunately for Moynat, the story did not end there, because the Shaw family brought the house in early 1980s for use by its companies Malaise et Voyage. Orcafi, the Vuitton family holdings company, brought Malaise et Voyage in 1989, following the disposal of the bulk of its shares in LVMH, Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. Then luxury holding company Louvanis SA then brought the rights to Moynat in the late 2000s and allocated the brand to Groupe Arnault. LVMH CEO Bernard Arnault's holding company, who bought Moynat in 2010 to revive the brand. In 2011, Moynat was relaunched, marking a courageous new chapter in its rich history, and shortly after, Moynat reopened with a flagship store at 348 Rue Saint-Honoré, and with subsequent boutiques opened in various locations around the world, from London to Hong Kong, Tokyo, New York, Singapore, and Dubai, to name a few. However, unlike the other LVMH fashion houses, Moynat still remains under the radar and without the buzz or hype. Moynat is yet again catering to fashionistas who are looking for minimalistic designs without the logomania or over-commercialization. Moynat is for those who want the quality, heritage, and premium craftsmanship, like the brands like Hermès without the noise. When Bernard Arnault acquired the rights to the Moynat brand, his vision was to reawaken the powerhouse and resurrect the spirit of Moynat, instead of just creating another brand. To do this, he appointed Guillaume Davant and Romash Nier as creative director. Guillaume Davant had been a collaborator of Bernard Arnault for many years at Christian Dior and as vice president of Louis Vuitton, Japan. Ramesh Nair is an Indian-born designer trained at the Institut Français de la Mode, Paris, whose professional experience includes working with Yohei Yamamoto and then with Christian Lacroix. His biggest highlight has been working with Hermès as a senior designer in the early 2000s, where he's said to have worked alongside Martin Margiela and Jean-Paul Gaultier. Ramesh was charged with a goal to stay true to the core values of Maison Moynat, while reinterpreting the house for a chic, modern audience. It is said that his unconventional thinking, obsession with detail, and skillful execution that made him the ideal creative director to steer the revived Moynat in the right direction. Ramesh had the great challenge and enormous task of bringing Moynat back from the dust and resurrecting the house to be the once celebrated legend of luxury leather goods that they once were. But before Ramesh could settle on the design language of Moynat, he had to do immense research about what Maison Moynat was about, in addition to reviving the traditions of Moynat's savoir-faire, because it had completely disappeared. There was very little material, artifact, or traces from its illustrious past that remained after the brand ceased production. No original employees or artisans to inquire from, but they had the good fortune to meet with many people who knew craftspersons. At its very foundation, it was evident that there was a clear creative direction, meticulously sketched out more than a century ago by Pauline Moynat. It was here Ramesh Nair realized his task was to continue the story of Moynat's lost trove through his own distinctive designs and creations, whilst paying homage and reference to its origins. Nair became focused on creating timeless, elegant bags that honoured the Moynat codes and the level of craftsmanship on which Moynat was originally built, and worked incessantly to recover the house's lost codes and introduce fresh novelties. Nair worked to find and extrapolate details from vintage ads and pieces, and putting up flyers at vintage car shows and going to yard sales to find Moynat items for the archive or articles that bear testament to the Moynat history of innovation and savoir-faire. What he could find, he bought. Ramesh Nair even had to research right down to the techniques that were specific to 19th and 20th century trunk making, but furthermore, techniques that were specific to the house of Moynat itself. It was after that he was finally and painstakingly able to put together a design language for the resurrected Maison Moynat. A language that was innovative and luxurious yet understated, staying true to the Moynat heritage while being modern and forward-thinking. Ramesh came through the Parisian workforce and carefully assembled a team of skillful and talented artisans who had the potential and credentials for the Moynat level of craftsmanship and had the acumen to bring his designs to life in the Moynat workshops. Here, every wooden frame is built leather-tanned to exact specifications, and details like hinges and latches are created from scratch. All articles are crafted using the Moynat way in trunk making. Ramesh also scoured France for makers of metallic parts, nails, closures, cabinet makers, and other crafts. Moynat set about retraining artisans to apply ancient trunk making techniques to modern handbags so that these skills were not lost and remained relevant. Some of the techniques Ramesh Nair introduced that Moynat used include the signature smooth edge finishing that requires an artisan to hand polish the leather fibre before applying a layer of paint, a process that is repeated 7 or 8 times. Another technique is the angle stitching, where 2 sides of a trunk edge already painted and waxed are held at a perfect right angle while being stitched with a single linen thread and 2 needles, a technique usually used on the mini vanity Moynat cubic trunk. The marquetry technique is another technique offered as a design motif or as a customized optional accessory. Leather marquetry is an 18th century technique and is a delicate, specialized process where individual pieces of leather are cut and placed together seamlessly to create a design motif. Moynat's artisans do this with such precision that one cannot spot the different individual pieces once they are assembled with the naked eye. The joints are invisible to the naked eye and the motif is almost smooth and flat to the touch, so much so that one may think the design is printed on. Nothing in Moynat's workshop or work is hurried or compromised. Some one-off customized pieces have been known to take up to a year to finish. Moynat also used Cuir Impérial, which is an updated contemporary version and recreation of original Russia leather, but has the same oily, silky suppleness and crosshatch grain like the rare Russian leather. The Moynat version also has an elegant scent that melds smoke, incense and myrrh. The original Russian leather had exceptional qualities and was widely used to craft leather articles and leather goods for over 3 centuries. It disappeared following the Russian Revolution of 1917. The original Russian leather was renowned for its durability, beauty, and distinctive smoky scent, and the leather was produced exclusively in Russia from the 17th to the beginning of the 20th century. The special tanning process was also a guarded process that took about 18 months, in which the leather is cured with birch tar oil and myrrh, amongst other ingredients. Ramesh brought back these European techniques and reinterpreted it for the modern age. Using Asian technique like this has helped Moynat to create truly bespoke bags. The majority of production is located in the south of France. Moynat makes about 30 bags a week, which are all individually crafted by hand, with each bag taking an estimated 3 to 7 days to make from start to finish by a single artisan, instead of an industrial or assembly line. However, this is only the actual production stage alone, once the artisan has all the necessary materials assembled. But if you take into account the fact the leathers are still at first designed, developed, produced to specification, as well as the different pieces, it can take as long as 3 months to have all the essential materials ready. Every piece of Moynat leather is individually chosen, textures are studied, patterns are centered, and seams meticulously stitched in order to find the best way to use the piece to construct each bag. This approach requires each artisan to be trained in many different techniques. Ramesh has rebuilt the brand using its heritage and techniques, as well as a starting point, but contemporizing it in a unique way of doing things. Ramesh and his team were eventually able to put together a range of products finished in the finest leathers, offerings for men and women that fall into 3 distinct categories. In addition to personalization services, ranging from hand-painted initials and made-to-measure bags. The bags consist of men and ladies' handbags, clutches, shoulder bags, and travel bags. The small leather goods collection consists of flat pouches, card holders, organizers, wallets, and more. The hard-sided luxury collection consists of trunks, briefcase, vanity cases, signature concave-based trunks inspired by the limousine collections of old. The products in all 3 categories come in a variety of shapes, sizes, colours, and textures. Moynat always works closely with their clients on their requirements, always bearing in mind that Moynat codes and expertise designing the object in a truly Moynat way. When a client requests a custom bag, there is no catalogue or styles of colours or linings that the clients can reference or choose from. Each component is handmade, including the metal parts and closures, which are all specific to each trunk or bag specification. Custom-made orders are in essence made from scratch for each client. It is not simply a question of assembling previously prepared components. Depending on the kind of object in question, the time taken to produce a product varies widely. The Moynat offering of handbag designs isn't extensive. Instead, they focus on quality rather than quantity. All pieces can also be personalized by an in-house artisan. The artisans can be commissioned to create illustrations and hand paint on handbags with loads of personalization options. Moynat keep their pricing and purchasing opportunities discreet because each piece is handmade. Moynat's 2 most popular models today are the Pauline and the Réjeanne, which sells for about £4,000 upwards each. Depending on the leather, hardware, and exact specification, it can be more. Moynat does list its bag offering on its website and displays some of the available colours. But to find out the exact price or purchase an item, you'll have to send an inquiry in-store at Moynat's handful of boutiques or inquire via email. Moynat's unique trunk-making savoir-faire travels the world with displays of vintage trunks and travel objects at Moynat boutiques. For Moynat, luxury was never a rush. Luxury is about the craft and the exclusivity, and they want to be an emblem in the world of real luxury. Maison Moynat has cultivated a history of freedom and wonder in their offerings, their accessories, bags, and objects d'art. They are all a celebration of artisanal craftsmanship. Today, Moynat forgoes marketing gimmicks. They do not have seasonal or collections like the fashion calendar. With its modest retail footprint and low-key communications, Moynat remain discreet. Although murmurings of the resurrected Maison Moynat has been spreading, beginning with its flagship boutique at the Rue Saint-Honoré in Paris, and an e-commerce site with storytelling and its first image campaign. This is seen as a vehicle to reach a new generation of customers. Moynat has acquired a loyal following for its artisanal approach, based on its unique haute savoir-faire. Artisanal savoir-faire, exceptional materials and refined hardware are hallmarks of Moynat. but it's Moynat's distinctive silhouette that set it apart from other luxury leather goods brands, as it was also a benchmark for travel items. Moynat does not try to attract the masses. They choose to remain niche. For Moynat, the one-to-one interactions, messages and experience, as well as the word-of-mouth travel, remains the most important things for them. Even though Moynat does not have the cultural impact and brand recognition of other big names, for those in the know, Moynat still inspires awe and brilliance. Moynat has an admirable air of exclusivity. With its rich history as one of the oldest, most prestigious leather goods company in the world. From its beginnings, Moynat has effortlessly combined beautiful, handcrafted designs with innovation and functionality. Moynat bags are deceptively simple, but in reality they are highly complex and require discipline to achieve their clean, uncluttered lines. Moynat has even collaborated with a wide range of international brands, cosmetic and perfume brand Guerlain, to create a beautiful beauty case for the Orient Express, to collaborating with Jaguar to produce La Malle Jaguar, a trunk designed to store a scooter in a Jaguar F-Type convertible. They have also joined up with automobile luggages for the likes of Bugatti, Boisson, Binder and Laborette. Moynat has also been known for bespoke luggage trunks. Some of the most extravagant, innovative special orders include the breakfast trunk, designed around an original idea from chef Yannick Aleno, with an incorporated gas burner and custom appliances. This trunk took an entire year to produce. Another example is the artist trunk. This trunk combines 19th century trunk making skills with carbon fiber and metal alloys in a revolutionary way. This trunk, an example of this trunk, was designed for a Franco-Hungarian artist, which allows you to travel with your favorite art, easel, tools, and inspirational materials. It's like having your own personal portable art studio. Moynat also celebrates its long history with a new book filled with double-page spreads of beautiful photos and illustrated inserts depicting the Maison's exclusive expertise and know-how. Moynat's enthusiasts are treated to behind-the-scenes images of artisans executing detailed angle stitching with linen thread, artisans hand-painting personalizations onto trunks. In 2020, Lisa Attia took over as Chief Executive Officer and Nicholas Knightley took over as Artistic Director. He was the former Designer Director for leather goods at Louis Vuitton after having worked for Mulberry. In this changeover, Moynat are keen to shed its institutional image, reinforced by its ladylike bespoke top-handle bags. Moynat is moving to emphasize more of a lifestyle attitude. Moynat's aim is timelessness, excellent craftsmanship, and quality. It is this balance between these elements that elevate its prestige. Moynat embodies a consistent pursuit and quest for hand-finished quality that is becoming an increasingly rare commodity in today's largely industrial, consumer-driven marketplace. The style of Moynat is very classic and elegant, but still quite distinctive. The shapes of their buckles and design silhouettes add a unique spin on the classic handbag for over 2 centuries, and Moynat continues its pioneering spirit through the mastery of traditional haute maroquinerie and innovative techniques. Their pieces are finished with exacting detail and uncompromising savoir-faire. Moynat is a brand for those who appreciate minimal, subtle and fine workmanship, discreet elegance and attention to details, and are passionate about rare and timeless objects that combine functionality with beauty. Moynat are for those luxury enthusiasts that want rare, understated, quiet luxury without screaming of status in order to distinguish themselves from the large crowd. For Moynat, in a world where anyone can buy a handbag off the shelf, rarity is valued and exclusiveness gives you more esteem when you carry a Moynat handbag. And that concludes our deep dive into the Moynat luxury leather goods and trunks maker. We will see you in the next video. Thank you and goodbye from Creme De Luxury.